Okay, ready to dive in. Today, we're looking at an ancient story, a real clash of, well, beliefs, you could say. And we're going to see how it speaks to us, like right now.
Yeah.
We're heading into 1 Kings chapter 18.
Yeah, this is a big one. I mean, the echoes of this story, they're still around today in the choices we make.
So imagine this. Samaria, 3 years, no rain, drought. It's bad. King Ahab, not exactly known for his strong faith, is in a tough spot, trying to find water and scraps of grass to keep his animals alive. It's a real crisis.
Definitely a crisis. And so you've got this backdrop of desperation, and then enter our key players. King Ahab, he's led Israel astray, you could say. Instead of worshiping the God of Israel, they're following Baal. And then there's Elijah, this prophet of the Lord. He's not backing down.
And then there's Obadiah. He's actually a governor in Ahab's house, but secretly he's protecting God's prophets.
Pretty interesting, right? Like having that kind of courage when you're surrounded by, quiet courage, yeah. But the real tension here is, it's Elijah confronting Ahab. And this isn't just a friendly, how are you doing conversation.
No, Elijah cuts right to the chase. He basically tells Ahab that he and his whole family, they're the reason for this disaster, that they've turned away from God's commands. Oof, that's gotta sting.
Definitely a bold move, challenging the king like that. And that confrontation, that's the launch pad for our deep dive today.
Right. So we want to unpack this whole story, see what went down, and most importantly, see what it means for us today, especially when it comes to, our own faith and how we hold on to it in the middle of everything life throws at us.
Exactly. It's not just an ancient history lesson. This is about, what we choose to put our trust in. Big questions even today.
So things come to a head on Mount Carmel. Elijah lays down this dramatic challenge. He says, let's get everyone together, all of Israel, and those 450 prophets of Baal, and have a kind of spiritual showdown right there on the mountain.
High stakes, for sure. Very public, very dramatic. And Elijah asks this question, it's so pointed. How long will you waver between two opinions? Like, pick a side. If the Lord is God, follow him. But if Baal is God, well, then follow him. And then silence. What do you make of that?
I don't know. It's almost heavy, that silence. Like they're stuck.
Yeah.
Unsure, maybe even scared to choose. And then you've got Elijah. One man against 450 prophets.
Yeah, talk about feeling outnumbered. But Elijah, he's not relying on, just human strength,
So he proposes a test, something they can all see. 2 bulls, ready to be sacrificed, laid on wood, no fire underneath. The God who answers by sending fire, that's the true God. Pretty straightforward.
Right to the point, and everyone agrees. Seems fair. So the prophets of Baal, they go first.
What happens?
Well, they really go all out. They're calling on Baal all morning until noon, shouting, leaping around the altar, even cutting themselves, part of their ritual. Right. They're desperate for some kind of sign, and nothing. Silence. Not a peep from Baal.
Wow. All that effort, and nothing. It really shows you how empty it is, doesn't it? To put your faith in something that's not even there.
And then Elijah steps in, and let me tell you, he does not hold back. He's almost mocking them. But it's effective, pointing out how pointless it all is. Like, maybe Baal's gone on a trip. Or he's busy. Maybe he's just taking a nap and they need to wake him up. The contrast with the God Elijah serves, it couldn't be more clear.
So then it's Elijah's turn. And he does something really interesting. He rebuilds the altar of the Lord. But he uses 12 stones. Like the 12 tribes of Israel.
Yeah, it's not just random. That rebuilding, it's symbolic, like a restoration, a turning back to the foundations of their faith.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is where it gets really interesting.
He pours water on everything. And drenches it, not just a little sprinkle.
Yeah.
4 big jars of water over the sacrifice, the wood, 3 times. The trench around the altar, it's overflowing. No way any fire could start naturally now.
Right. It's like he's saying, look, whatever happens next, it's got to be from God. No tricks here.
And then Elijah prays. It's a short prayer, but so powerful.
He calls on the Lord, specifically as the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, reminding everyone of God's covenant and asking to be heard so that the people will know without a doubt that the Lord is the true God and that he's, calling them back to himself.
And the answer, it's instantaneous.
Yeah.
And it's dramatic. Fire comes down from heaven and consumes everything. The sacrifice, the wood, the stones, even the dust, the water in the trench. Gone. Completely gone.
Talk about a show of power. And how did the people react?
They fall on their faces.
Yeah.
Every single one of them. And they say, the Lord, he is the God. The Lord, he is the God. It's this incredible moment of realization. Like their faith is reignited.
A turning point. They've repented, they've remembered who God is, and Elijah, he doesn't hesitate. He takes action.
Right. He tells the people to seize the prophets of Baal. They take him down to the Kishon Valley,
Yeah.
and, well, they're killed. A pretty stark consequence for rejecting the true God.
And after that powerful scene, the story shifts to the return of rain. God's blessing is restored. Elijah tells Ahab that he can hear rain coming. Like, a lot of rain.
And Elijah goes up to Mount Carmel to pray. And his servant, he keeps going up to the top, looking out over the sea 7 times, till finally he sees it, a little cloud.
And that little cloud, it doesn't stay little for long. It grows, and pretty soon, there's a huge downpour. The drought is over.
Wow. Persistent prayer, right? And then, this is amazing, Elijah, he's so empowered by God that he runs ahead of Ahab's chariot all the way to Jezreel. Like he outruns a chariot.
He's running on, well, on more than just human strength, that's for sure.
So that's the story. Pretty dramatic, even thousands of years later. But what does it mean for us today? I mean, how can this showdown on Mount Carmel strengthen our faith today in the 21st century?
Well, that question Elijah asks, how long will you waver? It's a question for us too, isn't it? I mean, think about it. We're constantly bombarded with things vying for our attention. So many distractions. Like, those prophets of Baal are still around, but in different forms, Our modern-day Baals.
That's a good point. What are those things for us? I mean, we don't have literal idols, but what are the things we might be putting our trust in more than God? What are we prioritizing?
Yeah, that's the question to ask ourselves. And then think about Elijah. He was facing impossible odds, but he didn't waver in his faith. And that can be so encouraging for us, right? Especially when we're going through tough times, things that seem impossible. It reminds us that even when everything seems hopeless, trusting God can lead to things we could never have imagined.
Yeah, it's easy to get so focused on how big our problems are that we forget how big God is. Elijah's story, it's a reminder that faith isn't just about believing. It's about trusting.
And that silence from Baal, that tells us a lot too, about where we can find real fulfillment. Those ancient idols, they offered nothing. And the things we chase after today, money, status, being popular, those things don't satisfy. Not really. They leave you empty.
And the power of prayer. Elijah prayed and God answered in such a dramatic way. It really underlines how important it is for us to pray too. Consistently, sincerely. To ask God for guidance, for strength, and, well, yeah, for the impossible.
And remember, God isn't distant. He's not ignoring us. He wants to be involved in our lives. And Elijah's courage, wow, standing up to a king, to all those people, that's inspiring, right? It takes guts to live according to what you believe, especially when it's not popular.
Yeah, sometimes it's easier to just go with the flow. But Elijah shows us what it means to be unashamed of your faith, to speak the truth, even when it's hard.
And that fire from heaven, it wasn't just a cool special effect. It was a demonstration of God's power, his authority. And remembering stories like this, it strengthens our own belief that God can still work in the world, in our lives today.
So it's not just an old story. It's proof that God is real, and he's active.
Absolutely. This story, it's a powerful reminder that it matters what we choose to devote ourselves to. It shows us the power of faith and prayer, and the courage we need to stand up for what we believe is true. It shows us that God is real, and he wants our trust.
So Elijah's story on Mount Carmel, it's about choosing the right path, trusting in God, and recognizing that anything that tries to replace him will leave us empty. It's about the power of prayer and the importance of having the courage to stand up for what you believe in.
Right. Elijah's story shows us that we should choose God, trust in him completely, and recognize that anything else we try to put in his place will disappoint us. It also shows us how powerful prayer can be and how important it is to be brave enough to do what's right, even when it's difficult.
So one last thought for you to chew on. Think about the things in your own life that you might be struggling to choose between, whatever they are. What would it look like for you to completely commit to your faith in God and really believe that he can bring that fire from heaven into your life? That breakthrough, that answer, that moment where God is working. It's a challenge, for sure, but it could change everything.